Hey guys, in this video I'm going to talk a little bit about green screen. So I'm Daniel Norton, photographer here in New York. I make videos like this one. This one's going to be about technique a bit. I make them about philosophy and about business. So if that kind of stuff interests you, go ahead and subscribe. So this is something I get asked about a lot, especially nowadays. We are doing lots and lots of video conferencing and these kind of things as photographers and as people in general. So it becomes more relevant. But even back in the day, right, I'd have photographers all the time that were learning lighting or wanting to shoot product or whatever, and they were like, I'd love to shoot against a green screen so I can change it, because maybe they had seen movies and this kind of stuff and they heard that term. And almost always, as a stills photographer, using a green screen is not the ideal, right? Shooting against, let's say, white is a lot easier if you're, like, let's say, in Photoshop. Traditionally, it's been easier to just pull something off of a white background or even black, depending on what they're wearing, than a green screen. But green screen is, because green screen is very specific, right? And most video programs will have the ability to take this color out, right? All green screen's doing is it's looking for that color and it's deleting it. It's a very specific color green. So when you're doing this, this happens to be the Savage Chroma green paper. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a second. But the idea here is that you want this even green color because ideally you want to remove as little color range as possible. You just want to remove that color, right? So they also make tape. This is actually from gafferpower.com. They make all kinds of gaffer tape, right? So we were doing something earlier and I actually put some on this paper. So you can see here, it's not exactly the same green, but it's pretty close, right? Because it's not the same light. But when I go like this, it's almost identical, right? This is, the more range you have in your green, the more uneven it is, the harder it will be to key it out, meaning remove it, right? So what we want to do is create even light. That being said, the right way to do it and how big film studios would do it is they would have lots and lots of lights. But I decided, now I am using kind of big lights and not necessarily cheap lights, so go ahead, comment below, you're going to anyways. But the idea here is pretty simple. What I'm gonna do is do it with two lights, and I'm just using big sources, and I'm using what's called the inverse square law to help me here. I'm keeping the distance of my lights far enough away so that they spread out enough. They stay soft because they're far, but it also creates it so that the background is being lit at pretty much the same exposure that I am. For this exact video, I was actually shooting something small. And for it, we didn't need to light up a whole area, so it does fade off a little bit darker on the edges, but it's pretty clean. And when you see this, because I'm going to crop it in probably on myself when I'm talking, you won't, although I might show you the sides, right? What we're going to do here is just create as even as possible. Now, distance makes a difference, right? Because there's no such thing as shadowless light. So if I'm not going to be able to light the background separately because I'm just using two big lights from the front, I have to be cautious I don't get too close to the background, because if you notice, when I get close to the background, you can see shadows, right? Those shadows are going to make it harder, if not impossible, to green screen it out cleanly. So giving myself distance, you see how the closer I step, my shadows get lower, they become more diffuse, they wrap around me, right? The further I am from the background, the better off I'm going to be. I mean, I do have more height here, so I could actually step even further if I really wanted to. But I don't want to be too close to the lights versus the background, or else then the background will get dark. And there you go. So what I'm doing here is I'm creating kind of an even light source. This is the most simple way to do it. I will put up a diagram of a more complicated way, maybe. I'll probably just draw it on a piece of paper. But essentially, two big light sources, or even one really big light source kind of back far, is going to make this work a lot better. Now, if you've got green screen software, boom, you're done, right? I mean, it's basically as simple as that. It cuts out, it's nice and easy. If you find you're having trouble keying because you're getting blending, that's usually because you're lighting the background too brightly. So if you were doing this more professionally, we'll call it, or more high-end or more studio, you would light the background. But what you have to remember is that when you shine light on the background, which is green, it's going to reflect, the background's green, it's going to reflect back that color. So what a lot of people will do is they will actually use a couple of small sources to do like a cutout light. So basically to do that like nice kind of rim, like a very subtle rim light around. This is a good solution if you can't really get good control over your background. Oftentimes too, they'll even throw a little magenta gel on those so that it really helps you cut out. This will help with the flyaway hairs and stuff like that. It kind of depends on how deep you want to go into this. But for a simple green screen, what we need is even light, and we need to make sure that we're not throwing any shadows on the background. That's really the tips. So let's talk about the paper quickly. This is a 86 inch, which is my new favorite length. I used to always use 107s, which are 9-foot rolls. Those were kind of the standard when I was shooting a lot of fashion, and we still are. But these 86s are great because they really allow you to get them in places like this. I can actually fit in my car. The 9-foot roll I could not. There's also 4.5 foot if you're in a smaller space. Let's say you're doing for Zoom conferencing and stuff. And they even make 26-inch for like small stuff. You're doing miniatures and stuff like that. So you've got all different sizes. They also make fabrics. I'll put links to all this stuff down below if you guys want to go explore it a bit. But essentially, what we're doing is we're creating, again, a background that is a single color that is probably, well, ideally, it's not appearing in nature, right? This is an odd color green, right? We don't see this in nature. And we're going to use the power of the video program, Premiere in my case, to remove it. Now, using what they call Ultra Key, you pick the color, right? So this theoretically could be purple, right? It could be a different color as long as it's even and it doesn't exist anywhere on me, it should work, right? There's also a Luma Key, which has to do with black and white. So if you want to do a white background, you can Luma Key it out. So there's lots of different ways to do this, but the green screen is still, pretty traditional and something we use a lot. So hopefully that's helpful, guys. Let me know if you want more information about the green screen. If you guys have done green screen before and you have questions or maybe you have success stories you want to talk about, go ahead and do that in the comments. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, ring the bell so you get all the notifications, and I'll see you next time.